Winning in every situation requires mastery of the inner environment before attempting to influence the outer one. Most people try to change circumstances without realizing that their inner state is shaping every decision they make. A disturbed mind cannot create stable outcomes. A focused mind can turn even chaos into advantage. The mind is constantly talking. For most people, it talks without supervision. It exaggerates threats, replays past failures, and predicts negative futures. When this happens automatically, the mind becomes an enemy instead of a tool. Winning begins when you stop believing every thought you think. Thoughts are not facts. They are suggestions. Some are useful, some are destructive. The ability to evaluate thoughts rather than obey them is a rare skill. This skill separates those who remain calm in crisis from those who collapse under pressure. When a situation turns difficult, your mind will often rush to conclusions. This is a survival response. It wants certainty, even if that certainty is false. It would rather assume the worst than remain in ambiguity. Winning requires resisting this impulse. Clarity comes from slowing down the interpretation process. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What exactly is happening?" Remove emotional language. Describe facts. This alone reduces emotional intensity and restores control. For example, saying "everything is ruined" creates panic. Saying "this plan did not work" creates opportunity. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Winners monitor their language carefully, especially when speaking to themselves. They replace dramatic statements with precise ones. Precision weakens fear. Vagueness strengthens it. Another mental trap is personalization. Many people assume every negative event is about them. A delayed response becomes rejection. A criticism becomes an attack. A failure becomes proof of worthlessness. This habit creates unnecessary suffering. Most situations are not personal. People are busy, distracted, insecure, or acting from their own fears. When you stop taking everything personally, you reclaim enormous emotional energy. That energy can then be redirected toward improvement and strategy. Mental strength is not about suppressing emotion. Suppression backfires. It is about observing emotion without letting it drive behavior. You can feel anger without acting angrily. You can feel fear without acting fearfully. This distinction is critical. Emotions peak and fall naturally if not fed by thought. When you continuously replay a situation, you extend emotional pain. When you redirect attention, emotion fades faster. Attention is fuel. Starve what harms you. Feed what strengthens you. Winning requires emotional recovery speed. Everyone gets knocked off balance. The difference is how quickly balance is restored. Slow recovery leads to spirals. Fast recovery leads to resilience. One way to increase recovery speed is to establish internal rules. Decide in advance how you will respond to stress, disappointment, and provocation. When the moment arrives, you follow the rule instead of improvising emotionally. For example, decide that you will not respond immediately when angry. Decide that you will sleep before making major decisions. Decide that you will seek information before forming conclusions. These rules protect you from yourself. Self-control is not restriction, it is direction. Another principle of winning is acceptance of reality, not approval. Acceptance. Fighting reality wastes energy. Complaining does not change facts. Denial delays adaptation. Acceptance allows movement. When you accept a situation as it is, you can ask the only useful question: what is the best move from here? This question shifts focus from blame to strategy. Many people stay stuck because they argue mentally with reality. They replay how things should have gone. They negotiate with the past. The past does not respond. The present does. Winning requires ruthless presence. You must meet situations where they are not where you wish they were. This does not mean giving up ambition. It means grounding ambition in realism. Realistic plans outperform emotional hopes. You will also learn that winning often requires letting go of outcomes, letting go of certain people, letting go of identities that no longer fit. Holding on too tightly creates resistance. Resistance creates suffering. Letting go does not mean not caring. It means caring without attachment. You do your best and release control over results. This mindset reduces anxiety and improves performance. Pressure is highest when identity is attached to outcome. When you believe a result defines your worth, you choke under stress. When you see outcomes as feedback, you perform freely. Winning people define themselves by effort, integrity, and growth rather than results alone. Results fluctuate. Values endure. Another key skill is patience. Impatience is emotional immaturity disguised as urgency. Many losses happen because people act too soon. They speak too quickly, decide too fast, and react too sharply. Patience creates space for insight. Space allows options to appear. Options create leverage. In difficult situations, silence often reveals more than speech. Listening exposes hidden information. Observing body language, tone, and timing gives advantage. Speaking prematurely closes doors. Winning does not require constant action. It requires correct action. You must also learn to tolerate discomfort. Growth lives on the edge of comfort. Avoiding discomfort guarantees stagnation. Embracing controlled discomfort builds capacity. Discomfort is not danger, it is unfamiliarity. The body reacts as if threatened, but the mind must evaluate realistically. Many opportunities feel uncomfortable because they stretch identity. Each time you act despite discomfort, you expand your sense of capability. This expansion compounds. Mental toughness is built through small, consistent challenges, not dramatic moments. Daily discipline strengthens decision-making under pressure. If you cannot manage small stresses, you will collapse under large ones. Train where the stakes are low, so you are prepared when stakes are high. Winning also requires humility. Arrogance blinds learning. When you believe you already know, you stop improving. Humility keeps perception clear. This does not mean self-doubt. It means openness. You can be confident and curious at the same time. Curiosity turns problems into puzzles. Puzzles invite engagement rather than fear. When you approach situations with curiosity, you remain flexible. Flexibility is power. Rigid people break. Adaptive people endure. Every situation contains leverage. Leverage comes from information, timing, position, and emotional control. Most people ignore leverage because they are too busy reacting. When you control your inner state, you can see leverage clearly. You notice patterns others miss. You wait when others rush. You act when others hesitate. This is how quiet victories are built. Winning in every situation also depends on how you deal with people. Human behavior is often unpredictable, emotional, and inconsistent. Expecting people to behave rationally sets you up for frustration. Understanding human nature instead gives you advantage. Most people are driven by a few core motives: the need to feel valued, the need to feel safe, the need to feel in control. When these needs are threatened, people react defensively, even aggressively. When these needs are met, people become cooperative. Winning does not mean exploiting these needs. It means recognizing them so you can navigate interactions intelligently. When you speak in a way that preserves dignity, you reduce resistance. When you threaten identity, you invite conflict. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to win arguments. Winning an argument often costs you the relationship or future cooperation. Influence is more powerful than victory. When emotions rise, logic falls. If someone is upset, they are not processing information objectively. Pushing facts at an emotional person is ineffective. First, lower emotional intensity, then reason can enter. Lowering emotional intensity requires calm presence, slow speech, neutral tone, non-threatening posture. These signals tell the nervous system that danger is low. Once safety is felt, conversation becomes possible. If you remain calm while others escalate, you immediately gain psychological advantage. Calmness signals control. Control invites trust, or at least respect. Do not mirror chaos. That is how chaos spreads. Another important principle is boundaries. Being kind does not mean being passive. Boundaries protect energy, time, and self-respect. Without boundaries, you train others to misuse you. Boundaries are not demands. They are statements of behavior you will accept or not accept. Enforcing boundaries consistently teaches others how to treat you. Many people fail to win because they confuse kindness with weakness. True kindness includes honesty and firmness. People respect clarity more than compliance. There will be times when saying no is the winning move, even if it creates short-term discomfort. Long-term peace often requires short-term tension. You must also understand that not everyone is meant to be convinced. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. Trying to change them wastes energy. Winning sometimes means disengaging. Choose carefully where you invest emotional effort. Attention is a limited resource. Spend it where there is potential for growth or cooperation. You cannot save everyone. You cannot fix everyone. You can only manage your role. Another key to winning with people is listening. Real listening, not waiting to speak. When people feel heard, defensiveness lowers. Even disagreement becomes easier. Listening does not mean agreeing, it means understanding. Understanding gives leverage. Most people reveal their motivations, fears, and desires. If you listen long enough, this information is invaluable. Silence encourages disclosure. People fill silence with truth. Do not rush to speak. Winning also requires strategic honesty, not oversharing, not deception, but purposeful truth. Say what is necessary, not everything that is true. Oversharing weakens position. Undersharing creates mystery. Balance is power. When facing manipulation, remember this. Manipulators rely on urgency, guilt, and confusion. Slow the interaction. Ask questions. Request time. Clarity dissolves manipulation. You always have the right to pause. Pressure is a tactic. Calm is a defense. If someone tries to rush you into a decision, assume there is information missing. Time reveals reality. Another truth. Praise is a powerful tool. Genuine, specific appreciation builds goodwill. People move mountains for those who recognize their efforts sincerely. However, flattery without substance breeds distrust. Be real. Criticism should be used carefully. Public criticism humiliates. Private criticism instructs. If you must correct, do it with respect and clarity. Winning is not about dominance, it is about alignment. Aligning interests, goals, and incentives. When interests align, cooperation becomes natural. When they conflict, resistance appears. Identify interests before pushing solutions. Ask, what does this person want or fear? Then position your proposal in a way that addresses those concerns honestly. Even in conflict, you can win by remaining composed, fair, and firm. Others may not admit it, but they remember how you made them feel. Reputation is long-term leverage. You are always being observed. How you handle pressure, conflict, and failure shapes how others perceive you. Consistent composure builds trust. Trust multiplies opportunity. Sometimes winning requires walking away from toxic environments. No strategy compensates for constant disrespect. Leaving is not quitting. It is choosing health. Protecting your mental space is a strategic move. When you remove yourself from draining situations, your clarity returns. With clarity comes strength. Winning with people also means accepting that approval is optional. You do not need universal acceptance to succeed. You need self-respect and aligned relationships. Trying to please everyone dilutes identity. Clear identity attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. This is a win. As you move forward, remember this. You are not responsible for others' emotions. You are responsible for your behavior. This understanding frees you. Winning in uncertain situations depends on your ability to make decisions without complete information. Waiting for certainty often means missing opportunity. Most important choices in life are made with partial data. The skill is not eliminating risk, but managing it intelligently. Fear of wrong decisions paralyzes many people. They replay options endlessly, hoping clarity will appear. In reality, clarity comes after commitment, not before. Action reveals information that thinking alone cannot. This does not mean acting recklessly. It means choosing thoughtfully and moving forward despite uncertainty. Every decision carries risk, including the decision to wait. Winning requires comfort with imperfect choices. To decide well, you must separate what you can control from what you cannot. Focus energy only on controllable factors. This immediately reduces anxiety and sharpens focus. Ask yourself, what is the worst realistic outcome? Often the mind exaggerates consequences. When you confront worst-case scenarios calmly, they lose power. Many fears dissolve when examined honestly. Another decision trap is emotional forecasting. People assume they will feel terrible forever if something goes wrong. In reality, humans adapt quickly. Emotional pain fades faster than imagined. This truth gives courage. You are stronger than you predict. Winning decisions are value-aligned. When choices reflect your values, regret decreases even if outcomes disappoint. Regret comes not from failure, but from betrayal of self. Before deciding, ask, does this move respect my principles? If yes, proceed. If no, reconsider. Values act as internal compass. Without them, decisions drift with emotion. Another factor is timing. Sometimes the best decision is to wait. Waiting is not avoidance when done deliberately. It is strategic patience. Learn to distinguish between fear-based delay and wisdom-based pause. Fear-based delay feels heavy and anxious. Wise pause feels calm and observant. If waiting brings clarity, energy, and information, it is productive. If it brings rumination and stress, it is avoidance. Winning requires honest self-assessment. Once a decision is made, commit fully. Half commitment creates weak results. Doubt drains energy. After choosing, stop second-guessing and focus on execution. You can adjust later, but act decisively now. Many people fail not because of bad decisions, but because of weak follow-through. Execution matters more than intention. Break actions into small steps. Progress builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. In high-pressure moments, slow your body first. Relax shoulders, unclench jaw, breathe deeply. The body leads the mind. Calm body, calm decisions. Stress narrows perception. Calm expands options. Winning in chaos requires maintaining routines. Simple daily rituals anchor stability. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and quiet time protect cognitive function. When life feels unpredictable, routine becomes refuge. You must also manage information intake. Overconsumption creates confusion. Limit opinions. Choose trusted sources. Think independently. Too many voices weaken conviction. Another truth. Not all decisions need equal energy. Save intensity for high-impact choices. Many things are reversible. Do not exhaust yourself over minor matters. Energy management is decision management. Winning people review decisions without self-attack. They ask what worked, what did not, and why. They adjust without shame. Shame blocks learning. Curiosity accelerates it. When mistakes happen, respond with responsibility, not punishment. Self-punishment reduces performance. Responsibility restores agency. Say, I chose this. Now what is the next best move? This mindset transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Life will present dilemmas with no perfect answers. Choose the option that aligns with long-term integrity, not short-term comfort. Short-term comfort often creates long-term cost. Winning also means knowing when to exit. Persistence is powerful, but blind persistence is dangerous. If a path consistently violates your values, drains health, and yields no growth, reconsider. Quitting wisely is not failure, it is redirection. Another important concept is opportunity cost. Every yes is a no to something else. Choose carefully where you invest time and energy. Time once spent cannot be recovered. Protect it fiercely. Winning requires awareness of seasons. Some periods are for building, some for resting, some for risking, some for consolidating. Forcing one season into another creates burnout. Respect cycles. You are not meant to operate at maximum intensity constantly. Strategic rest increases effectiveness. Finally, trust yourself, not blindly, but respectfully. Self-trust grows through kept promises. Do what you say you will do, especially when no one is watching. Integrity builds internal strength that shows externally. When you trust yourself, decisions become lighter. Fear loses grip. This is how you win when the path is unclear. Winning during loss, failure, and pain is the true test of strength. Anyone can feel confident when things go well. Few can remain grounded when life collapses around them. Yet it is in these moments that real winners are formed. Loss is unavoidable. You will lose opportunities, relationships, time, health, status, and certainty. Trying to avoid loss completely leads to fear-driven living. Winning requires learning how to lose without being destroyed. The first mistake people make in loss is resistance. They deny, minimize, or distract themselves from pain. This delays healing. Pain demands acknowledgement, not escape. Allowing yourself to feel pain does not mean surrendering to it. It means giving it space to pass. Emotions move when they are felt fully and without judgment. When pain is resisted, it stagnates. When it is allowed, it transforms. Another mistake is self-blame. People assume loss means personal failure. They attack their worth. This compounds pain unnecessarily. Failure is an event, not an identity. Confusing the two traps people in shame. Winning requires separating behavior from self-worth. You can evaluate actions without condemning yourself. Compassion strengthens resilience. Pain also distorts perception. In loss, people believe things will never improve. This is a temporary illusion. The nervous system narrows focus during distress. Perspective returns with time. Do not make permanent decisions in temporary pain. When grieving, slow everything. Reduce commitments. Protect sleep. Eat simply, breathe deeply. Recovery is not weakness, it is repair. Strength is built in recovery. Loss can either close you or deepen you. Bitterness hardens. Reflection refines. Ask what this experience is teaching without forcing meaning too soon. Meaning emerges naturally when pressure is removed. Many people rush to find lessons to avoid pain. Let pain speak first. Wisdom follows. Winning in pain also requires maintaining self-respect. Do not abandon standards. Do not numb yourself destructively. Choose behaviors that future you will thank you for. You may feel unmotivated. That is normal. Do the minimum with dignity. Small acts of care accumulate. Progress in grief is not linear. Good days and bad days will alternate. This is healing, not regression. Comparing your recovery to others delays healing. Everyone processes differently. Another important aspect is forgiveness. Holding resentment keeps pain active. Forgiveness is not forgetting or excusing. It is releasing emotional control others have over you. Forgiveness is self-liberation. You can forgive without reconciling. You can release anger without reopening doors. Winning sometimes means letting go of the need for closure. Closure often comes from within, not from others. Another challenge during pain is isolation. While solitude can be healing, prolonged isolation deepens despair. Choose selective connection. One trusted voice can anchor you. You do not need many people. You need safe people. Loss also reveals truth. It exposes false attachments, weak foundations, and misaligned priorities. This clarity is painful but valuable. Use it. When you emerge from pain, you are not the same. You should not try to be. Growth means change. Honor who you were. Step into who you are becoming. Winning also involves redefining success after loss. Old goals may no longer fit. New values may emerge. Adjust accordingly. Life chapters end. New ones begin. Clinging to old chapters blocks the next. Another truth. Pain increases empathy. Those who have suffered deeply often become powerful supporters, leaders, and healers. Pain expands emotional range. This can become purpose if integrated consciously. Do not rush to use pain for productivity. First heal, then contribute. Resilience is built by returning to self, to values, to routines, to meaning. Ask what remains within your control. Focus there. Even in the darkest moments, you control your breath, your posture, your words, and your next small choice. That is enough to begin. Winning during pain does not mean feeling strong. It means choosing strength despite feeling weak. One day you will look back and realize this period sharpened your wisdom, clarified your priorities, and strengthened your character. But do not demand that insight now. For now, just endure with dignity. Endurance is underrated power. Winning consistently over time is not about intensity. It is about sustainability. Many people burn brightly and disappear. True winners pace themselves. They build lives that can be maintained without collapse. Burnout is not caused by effort alone. It is caused by effort without meaning, boundaries, or recovery. When work consumes, identity exhaustion follows. To win long-term, you must define success in a way that includes health, peace, and growth, not just achievement. A life that looks successful but feels empty is not a win. Daily habits determine destiny more than dramatic decisions. What you do repeatedly shapes who you become. Small choices compound quietly. Wake times, sleep routines, movement, hydration, and mental input all influence decision quality. Protect these basics fiercely. Discipline in fundamentals creates freedom elsewhere. Consistency beats intensity every time. Winning people respect energy cycles. They work deeply, then rest intentionally. Rest is not laziness. It is strategic renewal. If you never stop, you eventually break. Another key habit is reflection. Regular reflection prevents drift. Ask what is working, what is draining, and what needs adjustment. This keeps life aligned. Without reflection, years can pass without progress. Winning also requires environment design. Willpower is unreliable. Environment shapes behavior effortlessly. Place supportive cues around you. Remove temptations where possible. Do not rely on strength alone. Use structure. Surround yourself with people who elevate standards. Behavior is contagious. Choose carefully. Distance yourself from constant negativity. Negativity erodes optimism slowly but surely. Another habit of winners is learning. Continuous learning keeps the mind flexible. Stagnation breeds insecurity. Read, observe, ask questions. Remain a student. Learning is not about information accumulation. It is about application. Apply one idea at a time. Winning also means setting limits. Say no to protect yes. Overcommitment leads to mediocrity everywhere. Depth beats breadth. Another long-term principle is delayed gratification. Most rewards worth having take time. Impatience leads to shortcuts. Shortcuts often cost more later. Be willing to wait while working steadily. You must also redefine failure. Failure is data. It shows what does not work. It refines direction. When failure is treated as information, it loses emotional sting. Winning requires courage to be misunderstood temporarily for long-term clarity. Not everyone will understand your path. Approval is optional. Stay aligned. Another habit is self-honesty. Lying to yourself blocks growth. Admit weaknesses without self-attack. Awareness is power. When you see clearly, you can improve. Winning people also celebrate progress, not excessively but intentionally. Recognition reinforces effort. Do not postpone joy until final success. Joy sustains effort. Long-term success also requires contribution. Helping others creates meaning beyond self. Purpose fuels resilience. Contribution does not require grand gestures. Small acts matter. When life feels heavy, service lightens it. Finally, remember that winning is not a destination. It is a way of moving through life. Calm, intentional, aligned. You will still face difficulty, but you will face it differently. That difference changes everything. Winning in every situation ultimately comes down to identity. Not the labels given by society, but the internal image you hold of yourself. People act in alignment with who they believe they are. Change the identity and behavior follows naturally. If you see yourself as someone who collapses under pressure, you will unconsciously fulfill that belief. If you see yourself as someone who adapts and endures, you will find strength even when tired. Identity is the silent driver behind every choice. Winning requires consciously choosing an identity rooted in resilience, responsibility, and growth. This does not mean pretending or positive fantasy. It means committing to a standard of behavior regardless of mood. Say to yourself, I am someone who handles difficulty with composure. Then practice it imperfectly. Over time, evidence accumulates and belief solidifies. Identity is built through repetition, not affirmation. Another powerful identity shift is moving from victim thinking to ownership thinking. Victim thinking asks, why did this happen to me? Ownership thinking asks, what can I do next? Ownership does not deny injustice. It simply refuses to surrender power. Powerlessness is the true loss. Winning also requires redefining confidence. Confidence is not loudness, certainty, or dominance. It is quiet trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. You do not need to know everything. You need to know that you can learn. This mindset reduces anxiety and increases action. Another identity trait of winners is emotional responsibility. They do not blame others for their internal state. They recognize feelings but choose behavior deliberately. This is not coldness. It is maturity. You are allowed to feel deeply. You are not allowed to act destructively. Winning also requires self-respect. Self-respect grows when actions align with values. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, trust increases. Break promises repeatedly and confidence erodes. Start small. Keep commitments manageable. Build reliability internally. When you respect yourself, you attract respect naturally. Another essential trait is adaptability. Rigid identities break under pressure. Flexible identities bend and recover. You are not one thing. You are evolving. Allow yourself to change opinions, paths, and goals without shame. Growth requires revision. Clinging to outdated identities creates internal conflict. Winning also means releasing comparison. Comparison steals joy and clarity. There will always be someone ahead and someone behind. The only meaningful comparison is with who you were yesterday. Focus on personal trajectory, not position. Another powerful practice is mental rehearsal. Visualize handling difficult situations calmly and effectively. The brain responds to imagined practice similarly to real experience. This prepares you for pressure. However, visualization must be grounded in realism. Imagine challenges and obstacles, not just success. This builds resilience, not fantasy. Winning also requires gratitude, not forced positivity, but deliberate recognition of what remains intact. Gratitude stabilizes perspective during hardship. It does not erase pain, it balances it. When perspective widens, options appear. Another trait is courage. Courage is not absence of fear, it is action in its presence. Fear often signals importance. Use fear as a compass, not a cage. Each courageous action rewires self-belief. Winning people also accept responsibility for repair. When they make mistakes, they apologize sincerely and correct course. This builds trust and credibility. Defensiveness weakens. Accountability strengthens. Another long-term strategy is simplifying life. Complexity drains energy. Simplify goals, commitments, and possessions where possible. Clarity increases effectiveness. You do not need more, you need alignment. Winning also requires forgiveness toward yourself. Holding on to past mistakes drains energy needed for progress. Learn, adjust, release. Self-punishment does not improve behavior. Understanding does. As this journey continues, remember that winning in every situation does not mean you always feel good. It means you remain grounded, purposeful, and aligned regardless of circumstances. You become someone life can test without breaking. Winning consistently also depends on discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and result. Talent alone rarely sustains success. Motivation alone fades. Discipline ensures steady progress even when enthusiasm is low. It is quiet, invisible, and non-negotiable. Discipline begins with small daily choices, choosing to act when tired, to study when distracted, to remain calm when provoked. Each small decision compounds over time into habits that define character. Habits are the architecture of long-term success. Winners build systems that support discipline. They do not rely solely on willpower. Willpower is a muscle that tires. Systems reduce reliance on constant energy by making the right action automatic. Structure protects focus. Another element is anticipation. Winners think ahead without being trapped by speculation. They analyze patterns, predict possible outcomes, and prepare contingencies. Anticipation reduces reactive behavior and allows deliberate response. They also accept that setbacks are inevitable. Resistance to setbacks creates suffering. Acceptance of temporary failure allows energy to be preserved for adaptation. Winning is not avoiding obstacles, it is navigating them strategically. Focus is another essential skill. Dispersed energy leads to mediocre results. Concentrated effort, repeated over time, produces mastery. Identify the few priorities that matter most. Invest attention and effort relentlessly in them. Winners avoid distractions that do not serve their goals. They protect attention as fiercely as time. Time and attention are the currency of results. Waste them and even excellent strategies fail. Another critical habit is accountability. Winners measure progress honestly. They track actions, evaluate outcomes, and adjust continuously. Without accountability, intentions remain vague and inconsistent. They also understand that consistency matters more than dramatic action. Daily effort, small but persistent, builds momentum. Momentum is a force that multiplies results over time. Intensity without consistency is wasted energy. Resilience remains central. Life will continue to test patience, skill, and emotional strength. Those who respond with flexibility and persistence endure. Those who collapse become statistics in someone else's narrative. Winners also cultivate curiosity. Lifelong learners remain adaptive. They question assumptions, explore alternatives, and seek understanding. Curiosity converts challenges into opportunities for insight rather than sources of fear. Patience complements curiosity. Not every problem will resolve immediately. Delayed results often produce higher quality outcomes than impulsive reactions. Impatience creates errors, missed opportunities, and regret. Energy management is another pillar. Physical, mental, and emotional energy must be preserved and replenished. Rest is strategic, not optional. Stress without recovery weakens performance and clarity. Winners also embrace responsibility for influence. They recognize that behavior shapes environments and affects others. Leadership is exercised silently through consistency, integrity, and competence. Words alone rarely change outcomes, actions do. Another long-term principle is strategic sacrifice. Every yes has a cost. Winners are willing to forego short-term pleasure for long-term benefit. They invest selectively in actions, relationships, and opportunities that compound advantage. Finally, reflection ties all habits together. Periodically reviewing outcomes, behaviors, and choices ensures alignment with values and goals. Reflection without judgment, without self-punishment, allows learning and continuous refinement. Winning consistently over time is the result of disciplined action, emotional regulation, strategic thought, and patient persistence. It is not glamorous. It is not always visible. It is quiet, methodical, and powerful. Winning in every situation also relies on understanding influence. Influence is not manipulation. Influence is the ability to guide outcomes without coercion, to create alignment where others see obstacles. It begins with awareness of human behavior and ends with strategic action. People respond predictably when needs, fears, and desires are understood. Winners observe first, speak second, and act deliberately. They do not rely on force, but on clarity, credibility, and timing. Influence grows naturally when trust is earned and maintained. Listening is the foundation of influence. Most people listen to respond. Winners listen to understand. When others feel understood, barriers lower and cooperation becomes easier. Listening also reveals hidden information that guides decisions. Timing is essential. Words and actions delivered too soon or too late lose power. Winners anticipate optimal moments to act. They do not rush or procrastinate unnecessarily. Precision in timing multiplies effectiveness. Confidence underpins influence. People follow those who project composure and certainty. Confidence does not require arrogance or perfection. It requires mastery of your inner state, so that you are not swayed by external chaos. Another essential skill is framing. How a situation is presented affects perception and decision-making. Winners frame challenges as opportunities, failures as feedback, and requests as mutually beneficial proposals. Framing shifts perspective without altering reality. Consistency strengthens influence. Predictable behavior builds credibility. People trust those whose actions align with words. Inconsistent behavior erodes trust and limits effectiveness regardless of intelligence or skill. Winners also know when to yield. Influence is often about choosing which battles to engage and which to let pass. Yielding strategically does not mean surrender. It means preserving energy and credibility for higher impact moments. Negotiation is another arena of constant opportunity. Winners prepare thoroughly, understand leverage, anticipate objections, and create solutions that satisfy multiple interests. They remain calm under pressure and resist being rushed or manipulated. Patience in negotiation allows information to emerge and clarity to develop. Impulsiveness diminishes leverage and increases regret. Winners often succeed before speaking because they observe, listen, and plan carefully. Preparation is key. Knowledge of facts, alternatives, and desired outcomes provides freedom in execution. Without preparation, even natural talent cannot compensate for lack of insight. Adaptability remains crucial. Negotiation rarely follows a script. Winners adjust strategy dynamically based on feedback and observation without losing sight of ultimate objectives. Flexibility in approach preserves advantage. Another factor is emotional control. Negotiators who react impulsively or defensively lose power. Calm presence communicates authority, confidence, and stability. Emotional composure often wins without confrontation. Winners also create options. Limiting oneself to a single path increases vulnerability. By generating alternatives, they maintain freedom of action and strengthen position. Scarcity reduces power, abundance increases it. Ethics underpin lasting influence. Short-term gains achieved through deception or coercion often collapse under scrutiny. Long-term advantage comes from fair, transparent, and consistent behavior that builds reputation and trust. Reputation compounds over time. One moment of integrity can outweigh multiple advantages gained dishonestly. Winning sustainably depends on credibility, consistency, and reliability. Finally, influence and negotiation succeed when aligned with values. Actions consistent with core principles are easier to sustain and defend. Misaligned tactics may yield temporary gains, but erode internal strength and clarity. Every interaction, conversation, and choice becomes an opportunity to create alignment, solve problems, and advance objectives without unnecessary conflict. Mastery of influence allows you to win even when the other party resists or misunderstands your intentions. Winning in every aspect of life is the result of integrating all the skills, habits, and mindsets we have explored. It is not about isolated victories, but about creating a life where success, clarity, and resilience are consistent. It is the cumulative effect of emotional control, strategic thinking, disciplined action, and ethical influence. To win continuously, you must first maintain mastery over your inner world. Thoughts, emotions, and impulses shape actions. If the inner world is chaotic, no amount of external skill will secure lasting victories. Calm, clarity, and alignment are the foundation upon which everything else is built. Next, you must act strategically. Every choice should be deliberate, informed, and aligned with long-term objectives. Avoid impulsive reactions and short-term temptations. Use information, timing, and leverage to maximize outcomes. Consider the consequences before acting, but do not be paralyzed by uncertainty. Discipline ensures that small, consistent actions compound over time. Daily habits matter far more than occasional brilliance. Protect routines, manage energy, and cultivate resilience. Momentum builds silently and carries you through difficult periods when motivation wanes. Influence and negotiation amplify results. Winning is rarely a solo endeavor. Most victories require collaboration, alignment, or persuasion. Observe human behavior, listen deeply, and communicate clearly. Align others' interests with yours, ethically and strategically. Timing, framing, and patience magnify power. Emotional resilience allows you to turn setbacks into advantage. Loss, failure, and pain are inevitable. The difference lies in response. Observe, process, and adapt without surrendering your identity. Transform obstacles into lessons and temporary defeats into long-term growth. Endurance under pressure is the signature of a true winner. Adaptability ensures survival and progress. Life rarely follows a straight path. Rules change, circumstances shift, and people act unpredictably. Those who bend without breaking who revise strategy without abandoning values, emerge stronger. Rigidity invites failure. Flexibility secures advantage. Integrity and ethics sustain long-term success. Short-term wins achieved at the cost of trust, respect, or values eventually collapse. Ethical action, transparency, and reliability build reputation, relationships, and leverage that compound over a lifetime. Self-awareness anchors all action. Reflect regularly on decisions, outcomes, and behaviors. Learn from mistakes without self-judgment. Adjust strategies in real time. Awareness is the lens through which all advantage is identified and applied. Time and energy management are essential. Prioritize high-impact actions and relationships. Protect attention and avoid distractions. Recognize opportunity cost. Every yes has a no attached. Strategic allocation of effort multiplies results. Finally, long-term victory requires vision and alignment. Define your values, principles, and ultimate goals. Let them guide decisions consistently. Align identity, habits, and environment to support those objectives. When internal state, behavior, and environment are aligned, resistance diminishes, clarity increases, and outcomes naturally improve. Winning in every situation is therefore not a single act, a clever tactic, or a lucky break. It is the seamless integration of self-mastery, strategy, resilience, discipline, influence, and ethical action over time. Life will continue to test, challenge, and surprise. Those who have internal mastery, strategic vision, and emotional resilience will not only endure, they will thrive. Victory is not defined by outcomes alone. It is defined by consistency of effort, clarity of mind, alignment with values, and the ability to transform challenges into growth. Win in the mind first, in action second, and life will follow. This concludes the full audiobook content on how to win in every situation. Winning in every situation also means understanding time. Time is the most underestimated factor in success and failure. Many people want immediate results and permanent certainty. Life does not work that way. Time reveals patterns, rewards patience, and exposes shortcuts. Those who rush often lose twice. First, by making poor decisions, and second, by dealing with consequences longer than expected. Those who respect time move steadily and recover faster. Winning requires long-term thinking in a short-term world. Ask not only what feels good now, but what strengthens me later. Short-term pleasure often hides long-term cost. Short-term discomfort often hides long-term reward. Time also heals perspective. What feels overwhelming today may feel manageable tomorrow. This is why emotional decisions are dangerous. Give important choices time to breathe. Another truth about time is that it compounds behavior. Small habits repeated daily shape decades. Neglect does the same. You are always compounding something even if you are unaware of it. Winning people act with awareness of this compounding effect. They do not underestimate small choices. They know consistency is invisible at first, but unstoppable later. Time also exposes character. Under pressure and over years, people reveal who they truly are. Masks slip. Intentions show. Behavior becomes pattern. This is why integrity matters. It survives time. Deception rarely does. Winning also means knowing when to be patient and when to act decisively. Patience without action becomes stagnation. Action without patience becomes chaos. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Another factor is emotional memory. The brain remembers intense emotional experiences more than neutral ones. This is why failure can feel heavier than success. Do not let emotional memory distort self-image. Balance memory with evidence. Look at patterns, not moments. Winning requires rewriting internal narratives. If your story says you always fail, you will unconsciously fulfill it. Replace absolute statements with accurate ones. Sometimes I struggle, sometimes I succeed, I learn and improve. Accuracy creates freedom. Another essential concept is responsibility without burden. Take responsibility for actions and growth, but do not carry the weight of everything beyond control. Carrying unnecessary burden leads to exhaustion. You are responsible for effort, not outcome. For integrity, not approval. For direction, not destiny. Winning also involves simplifying identity. Many people carry labels that limit them. Let go of identities that trap you in past versions of yourself. You are allowed to outgrow roles, expectations, and assumptions. Growth requires permission. Give it to yourself. Another powerful tool is stillness. In a noisy world, stillness restores clarity. Quiet moments reveal intuition and insight. Winning people protect silence. Reflection requires space. Stillness is not inactivity. It is preparation. You will also face moments of loneliness. Growth often separates you from familiar patterns. This loneliness is temporary and purposeful. Do not confuse solitude with failure. Winning sometimes feels like isolation before it feels like alignment. Another truth is that confidence grows after action, not before. Waiting to feel confident delays progress. Act with humility and courage. Confidence follows proof. Proof comes from effort. Winning also requires learning to endure boredom. Mastery is repetitive. Repetition feels boring. Those who tolerate boredom outperform those who chase novelty. Discipline thrives where excitement fades. Another factor is emotional neutrality. Not every situation deserves emotional investment. Save emotional energy for what truly matters. Indifference can be strategic. You do not need to attend every argument, invite, or distraction. Winning also means forgiving the past version of yourself. That version did the best it could with what it knew. Holding resentment toward yourself blocks progress. Growth requires self-compassion. Another principle is adaptability under criticism. Not all criticism is valid. Not all criticism is useless. Learn to extract truth without absorbing poison. Listen selectively. Winning people do not fear criticism. They fear stagnation. Finally, remember, life is not a problem to be solved. It is an experience to be navigated. Winning does not mean eliminating challenge. It means becoming capable enough to handle it with grace. You do not win by avoiding storms. You win by becoming someone who can walk through them. Winning in every situation ultimately requires acceptance of uncertainty. No strategy guarantees perfect outcomes. No preparation eliminates risk completely. Trying to control everything creates anxiety and rigidity. Accepting uncertainty creates flexibility and calm. Uncertainty is not a weakness in life. It is a constant. Those who accept it adapt faster and suffer less. Those who resist it exhaust themselves. Winning people make peace with not knowing. They focus on preparation rather than prediction. They strengthen skills rather than chasing certainty. Another important shift is from outcome obsession to process commitment. When attention is fixed only on results, pressure increases and performance suffers. When attention is placed on process, quality improves naturally. Focus on what you can do well today. Repeat tomorrow. Results follow quietly. Winning also requires redefining failure. Failure is not falling short. Failure is refusing to learn. Every attempt provides feedback. Use it. If something does not work, ask why without emotion. Adjust and try again. This mindset removes fear from action. Another element is emotional endurance. Not dramatic strength, but quiet persistence. Showing up even when nothing seems to change. This endurance separates those who succeed eventually from those who quit early. Progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. Winning requires faith in effort before evidence appears. Another challenge is distraction disguised as productivity. Being busy is not the same as being effective. Activity without direction wastes energy. Ask regularly, is this moving me forward or just keeping me occupied? Winning also means reducing noise. Too many opinions create confusion. Choose a few trusted perspectives and ignore the rest. Clarity improves when input is filtered. Another truth is that comfort can be an enemy. Comfort zones feel safe but limit growth. Growth requires voluntary discomfort. Choose discomfort that builds, not destroys. This may mean learning difficult skills, having hard conversations, or letting go of familiar routines. Winning people choose growth discomfort over stagnation comfort. Another principle is emotional honesty. Acknowledge fear, doubt, and frustration without judgment. Denying emotion weakens insight. Naming emotion restores control. Say, I feel uncertain, not I am uncertain. Language matters. Winning also involves gratitude for struggle. Not because struggle is pleasant, but because it sharpens character. Without challenge, strength remains theoretical. Adversity is the training ground of competence. Another key is patience with self. Growth takes longer than expected. Do not rush identity change. Let behavior lead belief gradually. Small improvements compound. Winning also requires adaptability to endings. Relationships, phases, and goals end. Holding on past usefulness creates pain. Endings create space for beginnings. Trust transition. Another factor is humility before life. No one is immune to difficulty. Arrogance invites blind spots. Humility keeps awareness open. Humility does not mean self-doubt. It means respect for complexity. Winning people remain students of life. Finally, understand this. Winning in every situation does not mean constant success. It means constant learning, alignment, and growth, regardless of outcome. You may lose externally and still win internally. Internal wins accumulate and eventually express externally. When inner alignment is strong, outcomes tend to follow. You do not need to dominate life. You need to cooperate with it intelligently. This is how you move through life without being defeated by circumstances. This is how you win in every situation.